Here we go. Yep, why not? It's got to work sometime. Thank you, God. Hello, everyone. Here it is, one more time. Yeah, coming at you with a vengeance. 2017. We hope you're ready, because here it is. Yeah, get the glasses out of the way. So I'm just going to keep yammering away, trusting that it's all in good order here. My name's Lou Martin, and this is my ongoing video series called Spirit Talks. And you're all very welcome. It is the 30th of January 2017, and this is the first time I've been on in weeks, and was only on, I think, around the 11th, so I'm really excited to get this ball rolling again, because it's one of my favorite things that I get to do. There's Michelle, Chusa, Astrid. Hi, welcome everyone. I've got the big hair happening now. It's the opposite of when I had the cap on, and I was looking quite monkish. Now I'm sort of mad professor, yeah, and I've got the maybe this is sort of a medieval collar, yeah. I could have a long yeah, feathered pen here. Yeah, I'd fit right at home. Shakespeare. There we go. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. So anyway, whoever he was, yeah, this mystery still, the jury's still out on that story. So a little Brian Eno to ease our way into this evening. It's been quite a week. Trump supporters and Trump opponents out there in the U.S. and around the globe. How amazing was it to see that the day after his inauguration, which was only attended by maybe a tenth of the normal crowd size, we had nearly 5 million women, men, and children all over the planet standing up for women and for peace and for justice and for all the things, the environment, planet Earth, all the things that we care about, yeah? So the battle lines, for better or worse, have clearly been drawn now, my friends. And this is the clash of the paradigms that my little spirit guides have been saying was headed our way. So we're all learning to disagree without hopefully create enemies. Yeah, that's a tricky thing to do. Yeah, or how to speak our truth without making somebody else feel wrong. Yeah, so it's what can I say here? It's time to pour on the compassion for all of us, and I truly feel like the last month I've just been really digging in the garden here. There's Chrissy. Hi. Bear, Angelica. Hello, everyone. Good to have you all here. Yeah, it feels great to get to do this again with you. So yeah, there's a lot to talk about, my friends. It's a powerful time, yeah. What I want to share with you tonight here is my dear teacher, Patricia Cota-Robles. She has a new meditation. It's 20 minutes long. I think we're going to do that whole thing here together at some point, yeah, or I may just post it on the page depending on how it all flows, but it's an amazing meditation. So we'll get to that here in a little bit. And then I have, of course, you're following me on Facebook. That's how you're seeing me now. So I've posted everything on my page here that I'm going to talk about, and I kind of refer to my page here. I'm just going to jump around as I usually do. There's a post here about Inside Out. What is it? The Science of Inside Out from the New York Times. I found this on Jessica Schaub's page. She's a bright light. She's friended me. Thank you, Jessica, if you're out there, doing some amazing work about fearless thinking and loving. Yeah, whether it's in a religious context or completely humanistic. She's a very bright light. So Science of Inside Out is an interesting article, but Inside Out itself was an amazing film. If you have not seen it, really recommend it to you. Especially great for kids and the children in all of us. Hey, Jeanette, to learn about emotions and how they work. Truly one of my favorite films of all time, no doubt about it. So, in the week that I'll just do the Trump stuff here at the top, the political, and we'll start low and we'll end high. That's the intention anyway. Yeah. My God, has it been a week? It's a week and a few days. Um, yes. Well, what do we say in 12 steps and in addiction recovery and in things like this? Um, when we learn to take responsibility for our actions and we make amends, then we know that we're growing morally, and we know that yeah, we're motivated by principles and not personalities, right? Hey, Kevin, when we don't do that, which is what we have now as our fearless leader, in my humble opinion, when we don't do that, of course, we know that it's just going to get worse. And so my phrase, about all of this is it's the perfect storm, and politically and socially. And it's a great, interesting thing to watch it all from a distance. Yeah, not be in the middle of it. My heart goes out to everyone in the middle of it over there in the States. Yeah. But in a perfect storm, if you remember the film or the book a good few years ago, The Perfect Storm, there you go. There was this combination of all these energies, three different disparate uh, environmental energies came together, and that's what created the perfect storm. In the world right now, politically, socially, we have Mr. Trump, who I've let's see, before the inauguration, I saw the co-author of his book, really the author of his book. His book would never have been written without this chap. I don't believe. His name is Tony Schwartz, and you can find him on YouTube. He's very eloquent and articulate, and he said basically 30 years ago he made this pact with the devil, Donald Trump, bless him, where he agreed to do this book for Donald. And in this book, he presents Donald as a much more charming and affable and happy-go-lucky kind of fellow. But when he realized, Tony Schwartz, that Trump was really looking as a possible presidential candidate, and then here we are as the president, he was truly horrified. And he said basically, that this is not a good idea for the country or for the world. So, again, I don't want to beat the drum too much about what people want to believe. You can clearly see how polarized this has created everything in the States and around the world. And and now we have the migration, the immigrant, the anti-Muslim, ban that happened, and thousands of people showed up at airports around the country, all over the country. Is truly extraordinary. A week after 5 million people demonstrating in 600 cities against Trump and his agenda, when he banned Muslims, the same thing happened at the airports. And so, America is really finding its voice, and it's extremely inspiring and wonderful and uplifting to see that. So, well done, everyone. Keep up the good work. Keep going. Yeah. We're just getting started here, obviously. But what I want to say is that, the perfect storm, the Shadow King, Macbeth, uh, Othello, yeah. When the kingdom is taken over by someone who has no sense, hey, how about that? Yeah. Then, things happen very bad very quickly, basically. Yeah. Richard III is another example of that. And so there was a piece in the Atlantic today. Again, I'll try to keep the American political bit short here, yeah, and as neutral as I can. But there's also therapists, describing that Trump is what is called a malignant narcissist. And I was talking about Tony Schwartz a minute ago. He said, yeah, he's not able to differentiate between truth and fiction. He has no conscience and he has no agenda other than his own self-aggrandizement and whatever he thinks will make him popular with the people that he cares about. And that's a perfect storm, my friends, when the guy who's making these decisions for such a powerful country as the US has these character defects. Things are going to be interesting, yeah. So I know everyone knows this. You may or may not agree with what I'm saying. That's absolutely your right. You have every right. But for those of us that are seeing things in this way of the unstoppable force meeting the immovable object, it really is a time for change, and to create change in the world right now. Want to talk about February here in a second. Is going to be extremely demanding for all of us, and so the tools that we've discovered in our lives up until right now, my friends, prayer, meditation, journaling, finding and following our inspiration, creating and sustaining community, having intimate relationships in our lives, that are meaningful and nurturing, that's going to be so important because from what I've seen from my astrologer friends, February is going to be really intense. And Steve Judd, who I follow, and this is not to say it has to be so, but this is just, again, my take on it from what I study. Steve Judd says the first 2.5 months of the year are going to be very challenging. And once we get to the middle of March, then things will begin to settle down. But we have 2 eclipses in February. The lunar eclipse on, I think it's the 11th, full lunar eclipse, and a solar eclipse on the 27th. And of course, eclipses stir everything up, and they complete energies, they break cycles, they upset the balance to create greater balance, these kinds of things. So there's that. Excuse me, there's all this energy with Mars happening. So if you or the people in your life, if you find people are really impatient, really frustrated, really anxious, really wound up, really emotional, and if you feel that way yourself, that's par for the course at this time right now, everyone. So, I have been, personally, I have been meditating my brains out. 2, 3, 4 hours some days, just to move through my own stuff and get my own life in the place that I'd like it to be. And so here we are again, thank you. I think it's working. I know it's working. And actually what I want to say is that Patricia's meditation, which I mentioned, it's called co-creating eternal peace and God's infinite abundance. Yeah, I'll either put the link on again to my page, or we'll try to do it together here. It's so powerful, and doing it, I did it Friday night for the first time, and I personally literally felt energy through my entire spine, including like outside, above my head and below my spine, below my tailbone, and throughout my spine. It was amazing, and I went completely out. And I've done it about 5 times now, I think, over the last 3 or 4 days, and it's worth knowing about. It's definitely one to do. So what I want to say here is, from Patricia's point, and what's happening energetically, astrologically, etc., is we're going to need to keep grounding. We're going to need to keep moving through these very intense emotional energies. Control issues are very big in the world right now. That's part of the Trump dance here, without a doubt. Controlling everything, controlling everyone, controlling what the media says, controlling what, who sits in the Joint Chiefs of Staff, controlling who can come and go, building walls, all the rest. Control, control. So that's that part of the perfect storm. And then again, I just saw this great film tonight, Women, Women's Power, Divine Feminine, Hidden Figures. It's really a good film, wonderful film. True story about these three brilliant, genius ladies who happen to be black and were working at NASA, the National Space Agency, building the rockets to go to the moon and all that in the 60s, and what they had to overcome to accomplish their dreams and help America and the world accomplish its dreams. Great story. The lady who is the lead character of the film, the woman herself, I think she's still alive. She's like 98 years old. Amazing. Okay, so I've let's see. Inside Out I've mentioned. So a little bit about Carl Boudreau. He's a great astrologer. I want to say more about February from what he has to share here. He calls it navigating the black hole of February. And my joke after reading Carl, in here today, is if you like January, you're gonna love February, my friends. And it's like, January, honestly, I felt like I was climbing a mountain of glass. Like I could not move the needle. I got through the month. Obviously, I'm still here. I'm very grateful. But Mercury retrograde and whatever else has been going on, it's just been really internal and slow on the external. So it feels like the new moon Friday in Aquarius, that's been helpful, and had a good weekend, and things are starting to move again, and I'm here with you, so all that feels great. But so to come back to Carl, thank you, to come back to Carl in February, this is not to, again, like Trump and Obama, everyone's got an opinion, it's great, good guys, bad guys, fine. It's just to find our own center, to find our own truth, to find and follow our hearts, as my guides say, yeah? And so what Carl is saying about February is that, and Steve Judd as well, that the end of the month, is going to be really transformative, and that there's likely going to be some global event. This is, again, not to be Cassandra, but just to give you information so you're empowered, that really is pivotal for the planet. And we're all going to be fine. We're all going to get through everything. We'll get to the other side of Donald J. Trump and Steve Bannon and all these lunatics that think they know how to run the planet better than the rest of us. Mike Pence, God bless them all, yeah. And but yeah, the perfect storm, it's headed for some kind of a turning point here in this next month. So what my clarity with spirit in meditation today gave me was that every day, I need to personally be, opening up at the deepest level in my spiritual practice. And I invite you to do the same, and we can do that together. We did this thing. Maybe it's a good time to reinstate this technique for was 9 a.m. in the morning and 9 p.m. at night, to find 2 times during the day where you just take 5 minutes, 10 minutes if you can, and just breathe consciously. Really something that simple. Hey there, Susan and Jane, would be so helpful, because I'm sure you're all feeling this. If we're not personally going through some crisis, financial, emotional, relationship, existential, spiritual, the planet emotionally is is in this perfect storm right now. Yeah. And people are responding, and people are coming together, and community is being created, and people are finding their voice, and people are standing, speaking truth to power. It's brilliant. It's beautiful. It's amazing. The revolution has really begun. This is the gift that Donald Trump has given us all. Yeah. The spiritual and political revolution of our lives is truly underway. I think we all know that and can see that. And that is great news. So, as we do our part, in blessing our enemies and praying for their good, and forgiving and compassion and kindness and love and unconditional love and all of those important things, there may still be, in our own lives, as I said here, our own challenges and crises that we need to continue to not be ashamed about, not be embarrassed about, not beat ourselves up over. Maybe this is not true for just me, yeah, but to offer it up, to let it go, to have, again, kindness, compassion, forgiveness, etc. Yes. So it is, again, like with the metaphor here, I'll stay with it, of the perfect storm. It's a hugely challenging time, and it is going to be a hugely challenging time. And we've all agreed to this, because we're here, and what we understand gives us access to resources, spiritual and emotional, etc., that other people who are not perceiving things in the same way don't have access to. So, listen to a lot of Abraham, as always, a lot of Lazarus, Oren, etc. Every time I work with spirits, it's a healing process. Today, I had definitely some tears, shed some tears today for myself here and for my own life. It needs to be done. It's part of the journey. But I feel so much better on the other side of it, and letting go of struggle, letting go of separation, letting go of control, all of that. So there's a lot of surrendering. I did a tarot reading for myself last night. Surrender and release definitely came up in that reading. Forgiveness came up. New beginnings came up. Yeah. So it's just, we put pressure on ourselves, or life, we let life put pressure on us and each other. And then it's hard to think straight or think clearly or think well. It's hard to believe that things are working together for good, that everything always works out for us, that there is a purpose to everything, that we're being divinely guided, that we're safe, loved, and supported. Excuse me. There are these two mutually exclusive realities, as we all know. So I just want to invite you to take time and make space for peace, as often and as deeply as you can. And what I've experienced, I'm sure you may be experiencing. I hear from a lot of you, similar stories. It's great. Feel free to share anything with me. I'm happy to hear from you. There's what I want to describe here is that when I meditate, okay, I go within myself, one step, another step, a deeper step, and the energy of spirit, which is perfect, whole, and complete, is able to, take from me the things that I'm not consciously aware that I'm still holding on to come back to surrender and release. So that's the dance that I see happening in February. The other thing that's going on here is, in this whole year, the first 9 months, is Saturn conjunct Chiron. And very good, Jeanette. Yeah. So Chiron is the wound, is all of our inner child wound, where we have felt judged, where we have judged ourselves, where we feel unseen, unsupported, unaccepted, rejected, shamed, humiliated, not enough, not good enough. Good, everyone's having a good cry there. Okay, good. I'm in good company here. So Chiron is the wound and the wounded healer, right? where Chiron shows up in our chart, that's our place of greatest, weakness, injury, pain, suffering, self-doubt, etc., self-judgment. So Saturn, so that's Chiron archetypally. Then Saturn is, of course, authority, time, structure and form, time and space, all of that, Chronos. So Donald Trump and the patriarchy and Steve Bannon and all these wonderful folks, they're, acting out, empire, fascism, dictatorship, lording it over everyone, telling us the way it's going to be, etc., trying to tell us the way it's going to be. And then everyone on the planet is saying, no, my friend, no, I'm sorry, we're not going along with this play. We're writing a different play over here. Which is again fantastic. So this whole year, the better part of this year, is this dance between where we have healed in our lives emotionally, self-love, self-worth, self-esteem, and where we're still struggling, where we're still confused, where we're still in resistance, in fear, in judgment. And so, of course, we project that onto the world. The world doesn't love me, well, do I love me? The world doesn't accept me. Well, how am I doing about accepting me, etc.? All of this kind of thing. So what is happening in this conjunction of Chiron and Saturn is at the end of this 9 months, and maybe even sooner in March, as Steve Judd says, Kaipacha as well, there's going to be this new momentum, and you can see it exploding already in the last week here, of community, compassion, human dignity, spiritual values, tolerance, respect. So it really is, the darkness in this time is really causing the light to pour out of all of us. And so, keep shining your light and sharing your love, my friends. Keep turning up the light. Keep reaching for what you care about. And when your heart is broken, then, let it break, let go of the struggle. The last year for my teacher Lazarus was about co-creation with spirit. And there were many meditations that we did where, and I do this now all the time, I invite you to do this as well, where we would call on the ancestors, the grandmothers, the grandfathers of our tradition. Like, I'm here in Ireland, so I call upon my ancestors, from Ireland here and back into the ancients. Native American, whatever, England, King Arthur, whatever, Lemuria, Atlantis, Sirius, Pleiades, whatever, gives you a strength, a sense of your own personal strength and worth, and, being outside of this time and space, yes, being focused here, but not being trapped here. You see, that's really important. Know that we decided to be here. Know that we're prepared for all this. Know that we're powerful. That our power is does not assert itself upon us, but waits for us to accept our worth, our goodness, beauty, and truth, as Lazarus says. Know that we have God is all that is, or source, within us. If you want to use other words for that, be my guest. But that there's something transformative, transcendent, happening every day of our lives. So I'm just saying, my sense is, look at February as a long dark tunnel, because evidently the energy of January is just kind of getting like this in February. You see, it's like the first act of a new play. And so, we know who, as I said, we've chosen up our sides now, and everyone has decided who's good and who's bad and who's right and who's wrong, to the best of our human ability, what is and what isn't the way to go. And now we're getting to dance that dance. And, again, of course, I love the here's Saint Francis. Let me share that with you one more time. This I've used this every day. Here we go. Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. Take a breath into that. O Divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned. It is in dying to self that we are born to eternal life. Just take a breath into that. And so it is. And then the other one I've been working with, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Just take a breath into that. Yeah. So those